Deputy President Paul Mashatile will today address the Anti-Corruption Day Dialogue. This gathering is a collaboration between UNISA and the United Nations. For more on this story, we speak to SABC News reporter Ntlantla Kgatlhane. Ntlantla, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. Of course, corruption, a major issue in the country. We're heading into the elections next year, and we know that when it comes to the manifestos of political parties, corruption is right at the top of what they promise they will be fighting. Tell us about what this summit wants to tackle.
Yes, well, a very good day to you, Aldrin. Indeed, one of the unique conferences where legal heads, political party leaders, government come together to just engage about this phenomenon, Aldrin. When you know that, corruption, others would regard it as a cancer that, paralyzes the country. But with me here to talk to us, I'm with Professor Somadoda Fikeni, just to give us a light with regard to the dialogue today or this conference. One question that comes to one's mind is that it's a cancer. South Africa, corruption is like an order of the day, and this begs a question that, what really needs to be done except from, talk shops, engagements like this? I mean, there must be tangible. We had state capture recently, there were reports on the rent manipulation.
This problem has become so compounded that the mistake we can make is to say government alone can solve this problem. It needs government, civil society, it needs private sector to come together and mobilize with the intensity and the level that we saw during the anti-apartheid struggle, because this is the biggest challenge of today. It takes away from the majority and gives to the few. The same way apartheid was a minority rule, corruption is the same. It takes away the jobs that could have been given to the youth. It takes away the monies that could have improved the life and the livelihood of people. And that is the reason why this conference, we did not want just to say what policies are there. We said implementation. And the focus is on implementation as to why we have such good policies but sometimes poor implementation. Hence, this is the focus. And we said, henceforth, when we meet next time, we should be reporting on the progress of implementation. That is what is going to be happening inside.
Let me just pick your mind here. You're talking about implementation, but, there's this, I don't know how to coin it, but a phenomenon where the very same people that say would deal with corruption in some instances are the ones that, find themselves being involved in corruption. How do you deal with such a situation?
That's precisely the reason why we're saying vigilance and participation of the entire society becomes key. The change of policies to make sure that those who are involved in corruption cannot just have a rhetoric of talking about corruption. Their space will be squeezed such that people who are appropriate, people who are ethical, are the ones holding the positions.
Political organizations are going to be there, government experts are going to be there, and one thing that comes to one's mind is, when you have politicians under one roof, they say some would define politics as say what they want to hear and do nothing about it, and you find the very same people here who would be in these discussions. Your take with regards to that?
Well, to us, I don't think one would spend much time. It's a political election season and political leaders will have to campaign, do this and that. But the main thing is the day after election results, corruption problem will still be there. Hence, therefore, public service, its professionalization, civil society, private sector, and your Chapter 9, Chapter 10, 13 institutions in the accountability and oversight ecosystem should be there so that whatever commitments are made here, they are followed through.
Last question for me. When we spoke earlier, you said, you shouldn't only, view government, also fighting corruption, it comes from communities. And, you know, when you interact with communities, they'll tell you that, I mean, crime is broad. And they'll tell you go to a police station and you find that nothing is done.
Precisely the point when we talk professionalization of public service. We're trying to make sure that those corrupt individuals who tend to blemish the rest of the public service are eliminated through the process of recruiting the right people, discipline management to get those who do wrong out of the system, integrity tests, training, and the promotion of constitutional values and principles. Those are key things that we should be focusing on. That program of professionalization, which has been approved by Cabinet, if successfully implemented, that issue of police in the police station who do not do their job will start being smaller and smaller because you'll have the right systems in place to deal with that.
Well, thank you so much, Prof. Eldrin, that was Professor Somado Dafikin, the chairperson of the Public Service Commission there, you know, basically saying that, you know, a lot of department needs to be professionalized to avoid a situation where, you know, if there's lack of professionalism, that's where you find instances whereby people or communities lose confidence in institutions such as police. Eldrin, with that being said, it's back to you in studio.